Well, my name is Rachel Lease, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist at Kansas State Counseling Services, and I'm here today to present on body image. So I'm glad that you all came, and I'm excited to talk about this topic today. So I called it Mirror Mirror, a presentation on body image. I'm going to speak for the next hour, and we'll kind of hopefully have more interaction too, because I like to talk, but I also like to interact with students as well. So any thoughts that you have to share, please interrupt me if something kind of stands out to you as well. So we'll kind of just get started. Okay, so today's presentation will focus on 4 different areas. So first of all, we're just going to start by defining body image. I think we all use that term a lot, but are we all clear on kind of what that means? And so we're going to talk about not only defining it, but defining positive and negative body image and what that might look like for you or someone you know. And we'll also watch a short video and discuss that as well. Next portion we'll talk about is this thing that you may hear a lot is I feel fat, and we're going to explore that a little bit. What does that mean really when we say that, or we hear a friend of ours say that? Third section will be, can we be friends? Talking about a positive relationship with our body, how we can formulate that if we don't have a really strong or positive body image. And then the last one is beauty tips, but not the beauty tips you would expect. We're going to be talking about tips on having a positive body image as well. So we'll kind of delve in first to what is body image. Does anyone have any thoughts? How would you define that topic, given that this is kind of the crust of this conversation? Ideas?
How you see yourself.
How you see yourself? Okay, absolutely. Anyone else have any ideas?
How you think you see yourself.
Yes, how you think, yeah, and even how you think about yourself maybe too. Absolutely. Anyone else have one final idea? How else would you define body image? Oh, how you want to look? Absolutely. So it's a lot based on appearance and how you may think or see your body. Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind signing on in for me, please. And the reason I put these 2 images on this first page too is that they're not only body images for women, but for men as well. And for men, they're increasing more and more. For women, I think especially in our culture, there's very much this thin ideal and this slender pressure to be slenderized. But for men, there's this big pressure to be muscular, have low percentage of body fat and things too. So that also impacts as men and women alike. One interesting fact too about this thin ideal and this slender ideal in our culture is that only about 2 to 3% of individuals actually fit that criteria. So if you think about how slim of a percentage that is, it sets a lot of us women and men up for disappointment or feeling frustration about our bodies, leading to a lot of self-criticism as well. Throughout this presentation, I'm just going to give some supplemental videos or ideas so that if you want to research more into the topic or learn more, you can. They won't be a part of this presentation, but one video that I saw was a TED Talk. It was from Cameron Russell, who is a model, and she talks about the social construction of beauty, and she equates essentially being a model to winning the lottery, as for this a genetic endowment that many people have, but so few actually fit into that, and how it can be kind of crushing to women who feel like they have to fit that model and that mold. So if you want to learn more and kind of hear what she had to say about it, I'd encourage you to kind of look her up as well. So this is body image according to the National Eating Disorder Organization. They have a really fabulous website, and a lot of the resources that I will be talking about today actually came from that website. So this is it defined. So one, it's how you see yourself when you look in the mirror, or how you picture yourself in your mind, which are very much in line with kind of what you all were saying as well. These are beliefs about your appearance, so these assumptions or generalizations you make about your appearance. And also how you feel about your body. So how do you feel about your height? Do you feel positive about it, negative about it? Do you feel confident about that? What about your weight or the shape of your body? That also impacts how you envision or feel about your body. The last one that a lot of us don't think about, but how do we feel in our bodies? Do I feel confident? Do I like the way my body moves when I walk? How do I feel? Do I feel trapped in my body? Do I feel confident in my body? Do I feel secure in my body? So that's another element of body image as well. And obviously you can see that this apple may have maybe a bit of distortion in how it sees itself as well. So often that's what happens for us, for men and women. So I'm a big lover of quotes, and so I use them a lot as well. So this one kind of resonates a lot with me. So it says, people often say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I say that the most liberating thing about beauty is realizing that you, in fact, are the beholder. And I was also a K-State student here, and I was an RA on one of the floors, and I've always loved quotes, and I have always loved inspiring women on improving their body image. And so what I did is I actually took this quote and many others, I laminated them and I hung them all over the bathroom, in the showers, everywhere, so that my residents or the people on my floor, the women on my floor, would constantly be affirmed by some of these really positive views. And so I encourage you, if you love quotes like I do, sometimes hanging those around as a reminder of really keeping your thoughts and your kind of self-talk in check. And this is one way that I do it. So if that's something that resonates with you, I would encourage you to do that as well, or finding something that really speaks to you. So okay, so we're going to talk about what I think a lot of us kind of think about with regard to body image is the positive and the negative kind of, or the disliking and accepting your body, those kind of two sides. So I like to end on a positive note, so I'm going to start on the disliking side. So these are kind of criteria that would show, okay, maybe I'm not really liking my body. Maybe I struggle with having a really positive view or image of myself and my body. So the first kind of criteria or element here is treating your body like an object to be controlled or manipulated. So you look in the mirror and you say, that needs to change. This thing that I have, this body that I have, that element of me needs to be manipulated or changed. So my thighs need to be smaller, I need my nose to be looked different, or some kind of element of my body that has to be manipulated. Constant negative self-statements, so that negative self-talk, this criticism that kind of goes like on a reel, kind of repeating in our minds, and sometimes this obsessive need for perfection. So I can't rest, I can't stop obsessing or having this negative self-talk until my body is perfect. And oftentimes we define that perfection based upon these social constructs that are put upon us. Difficulty accepting compliments. Anyone personally struggle with this? If you feel comfortable, even you can think it in your mind. I know I, from time to time, have really had a hard time with this. Why do you think women or men alike struggle with accepting compliments sometimes? Even if they're the most wonderful and genuine compliment. Why do you think that's so tough?
Because they don't feel that way.
Okay, so they don't believe it. Yeah, they don't feel that way themselves. Right, so these beliefs that we hold about ourselves are more negative, more critical, and then when this information comes in of, wow, you have a beautiful body, or you look fabulous in that outfit, then that's like, oh, I can't accept that because that's incongruent with this belief that I have about myself. And that feels weird, it feels strange. And sometimes we like to keep that status quo too, as I can't accept that because I'm still needing that, driving for that perfection too. Two things that you might see in yourself or with friends too is this ritualized activity. So in order to reach this perfection or to have this good body, in quotes, I have to exercise this amount of time every day, or this much every week, and I have to do these certain exercises, or I have to eat this certain food or this certain way, or this many calories. So it's very ritualized, it's very structured. And then we also use these outside tools, these external means, to assess kind of the goodness, again, the quotes of goodness of our body. So I have to be a certain number on a scale. I have to fit into a certain number of clothes. And until that happens, then I have not reached that point where I can accept my body. A lot of feelings that I didn't put on there is this feeling of shame sometimes, self-consciousness, anxiety about the body, and I think sometimes those feelings come out more than we really can assess or really be self-aware of some of these behaviors. So that's also an element too. So let's shift to the other side. I like the other side a lot too. Accepting your body. So this is respecting your body, and the difference here is that you love your body as a whole. So when you look at your body in the mirror, you're saying, body, I accept you and I love you as a whole entity, that I'm not going to pick you apart piece by piece and say, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. I'm going to look at you and say, yes, I respect and I accept you. The other part is like having more positive self-statements. So when you walk out of the house saying, I feel really confident in my body. I feel really confident in what I put on today. I feel good about me. Trusting your body and having flexibility. So trusting that if I eat a little bit more this morning and eat a little bit less in the afternoon, or still just I indulge over Easter or indulge over Christmas break, that my body will adjust. My body will be flexible, and I can be flexible with it too. Dressing for personal style and comfort. So I want you to think just for a moment, what kind of influenced your decision making when you put on clothes this morning? You don't have to answer that, right? But I want you to think about that for a second. Did you put on clothes to hide your body? Did you put on clothes to accentuate parts of your body? Or did you put something on saying, this is me, this is my personal style, I'm putting this on because this is comfortable? Just kind of, I think sometimes assessing the intent of our clothes is really important. Because oftentimes if we dislike our body, we hide certain parts of our body as far as feeling like ashamed. Or sometimes we dress in a certain way, feeling like we have to make up or overcompensate because we don't feel good about our body as well. Another side, too, is that we establish personal goals for ourselves. So I'm not going to the gym exactly 1 hour and doing these things in order to get this specific perfection of my body, but I'm doing it for health reasons. I'm doing it to relieve stress. I'm doing it for personal goals because I want to be able to run 2 miles. So again, kind of going into that intention. And then the last part is accepting body size and your genetic endowment. I want you to think for a moment, what are elements of your body that you really are just genetically endowed with? Parts of your body that you know came from your mom or your dad, or from, you just know, like, for me, it's like, I know I'm Elise because of this, or I'm Ametha because of this. You know, kind of accepting and embracing that and knowing that that ties you to your family. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Dove commercials, right? I really like them up here. I like how we're saying, wrinkled, wonderful, accepting your body. Gray, gorgeous. It's not good or bad, it's gorgeous. I'm accepting it and I'm loving that part of me. And so a healthy body image has these criteria, and I like these. They're simple, they're to the point. It can be just kind of a regular assessment for yourself or for others of, this is keeping me in check, making sure that I'm having that positive image of myself. So one, a healthy body image is constant. So an example would be, I walk out of the house with a certain outfit on, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling good about my body, and when I go to that party and I see other beautiful women, or I see other handsome men, that I say, wow, I can really admire them, and I can say, they look great, but I also still feel confident about who I am. It doesn't fluctuate with necessarily the environment that I'm in or the mood even that I'm in, but I can still constantly feel that positive. The other one is realistic. I challenge people to say, hey, ask your best friend or someone who truly cares about you, how would you describe my body or who I am? Give me some compliments. What would you admire about me? Are my own perceptions in line with those of others, what other people are seeing? Is it really realistic the views that I have about myself? Like we've already talked about, the body is seen as a whole, so you're not kind of picking your body apart as far as assessing it and criticizing it. You also have realistic expectations about it. So for example, you come from a family who have wide hips, and you're expecting, I'm going to be slender and stick thin. That's really not a realistic expectation. You're not accepting that beautiful genetic endowment that you have. If you come from a family with other aspects, you say, I recognize that for me, that's something that I've been given, and I accept that part of me. And the last one is that beauty can be recognized in all kinds of beauty types. And I think, again, going back to that Dove kind of campaign for real beauty, is they show all kinds of different body types and say, this is beauty. We accept all definitions of beauty. Okay. So another quote. I like this one as well because it talks about value and worth, which I think are so often also tied to body image and how we feel about ourselves. So this one says, your value does not decrease based upon someone's inability to see your worth. And I also challenge you too, is that your value does not decrease based upon your own inability to see your worth too. So even if you feel self-critical or you feel really negative about yourself, that still does not mean that your value is somewhat less than. All right. So I want you to think about too how the definition of beauty has changed over time or across cultures. Because I think sometimes we get stuck in this view of this is what beauty is. We define it as this box, this very narrow box. And so I'm wondering, thoughts or reactions, even just seeing this Marilyn Monroe up there, any reactions to her and her beauty? Does she fit in with today's standards for beauty? I'm saying no. Why not? Yeah, full figure, but like you said, it's still gorgeous. You can still admire someone's has a different body type. Right. So again, kind of another supplement to this presentation as well, is there are two really interesting YouTube videos in addition to that TED Talk that I mentioned earlier. One is, it's called Women's Ideal Body Types Throughout History. And it goes from ancient Egypt all the way up until today. And it shows with different models, different body types that were idealized throughout the ages. And so it goes from slender to full figure to hourglass to stick thin all the way up, and how all of our just, kind of these social constructions of beauty change and morph over time. And sometimes I think seeing that can say, wow, look, like my body type would have been idealized in this era, but I can still accept it now because it is beautiful. I don't have to fit in with this very strict construction of beauty. The other one too, because I think oftentimes this doesn't give as much attention, is there's also this video about men's standard of beauty across the world. So it's more in modern times, but it also displays different values on beauty with regard to men. An interesting thing too is, I don't know if I'd mentioned this already, but in the last few years, the the number of beauty products sold to men or advertised to men has increased by like 70%. So you can see there's this increased pressure of men to somehow perfect their own appearance and body as well. So I think we're going to see a lot more concerns with regard to men, not in addition to women. Okay, so the next portion is a video that I'm going to play, and then we'll kind of have a short discussion after that as well. One thing that really stood out to me on this too is the woman at the end who reads kind of a poem, and so I want you to really kind of focus in on that at the end as well.
With our body shape and size, and whether it is the size we want it to be or not.
I have always struggled with my size. I went through years of anorexia and this roller coaster of weight, and it took a long time for me to get comfortable. As a teenager, it was that there was no positive conversation around body image. It was always critique.
I mean, I probably could trim a little bit off of some stuff.
I would like to be a little curvier, a little bit more toned.
I've lost a little bit of weight and I'm still trying to lose weight.
For 10 years, I was on this pursuit of changing myself. I was queen of gossip magazines. Like, I couldn't leave high school without going to the store to buy one. every day. I don't do that anymore. I just can't do that because I know it's a choice that I've had to make. But then social media doesn't make it easy. Of course everyone posts their most beautiful photo because you always want to put your best face forward.
I think as a girl growing up, you're always comparing yourself to women in the media, and I would wonder, like, will I ever look like that or be that pretty, or would someone ever find me that attractive or would want me like these people seem to want these celebrities?
I did celebrity retouching, so I got to see like people that you see your whole life and you think they look one way. Everything that you see has been altered. And so like all the magazines, all the media that you looked at your whole life and thought, I'm not that. They already there.
It's one of those things where you can't really blame one or the other. You can't say, oh, it's the media. Oh, it's the, people seeing the media. Because at some point we demanded that. We wanted to see skinnier, pretty people up there. The more we saw that, the more we wanted to become that and vice versa.
I want to talk about the first time that we felt not good enough, like physically.
Probably around 13.
It's like single digits.
Oh, I know, 5th grade.
In 4th grade, there was a play. We were doing Helen Keller. The boy I had a crush on was playing the lead. I was understudy for the woman playing his wife. And there was one time when she was out sick, and I got to do it. And he had to catch me when I fainted. And he stepped out of the way and let me fall because he said I was too ugly to touch. And it was just a stupid thing that a kid said in one instance for no reason, But damned if I didn't think I was ugly for the next 10 years.
I very vividly remember at a dance convention, I don't look like the rest of the girls, therefore I'm not good enough.
I think that's something that's natural to kind of compare yourself to other people. It's about knowing the difference between that's something I want and that's something I need. When you're striving after that and you feel like you need to have this to be perfect or to be who you want to be, that's where the issue comes.
You have some friends that they just naturally have a flat stomach, and like all you think about is how you don't have that flat stomach. But then you forget that like some of us naturally have boobs, and their friend who has a flat stomach is thinking about how she doesn't have boobs. Like, it is that that comparison, the grass is greener.
There's a quote that I always think about, and it's comparison is the thief of joy. It's the best quote because what I do is I give myself a check. Am I not joyful? And it's almost 100% of the time because I'm looking at other people, even in my own husband, and being like, he has this that I don't have.
I think that growing and evolving and bettering yourself is great if it's done in a really honest, healthy, and loving way.
I am trying now to look myself in the mirror and notice something beautiful about myself every day, and verbally acknowledging it and looking at myself in the eyes in the mirror and say this today, I love the way your hair is falling today, and just speaking truth into our own lives. I think acknowledging our own beauty and not being afraid to talk about it is a very healthy step, at least for me.
I think I feel the most beautiful when I'm naked because it's just like what it is, and it's unapologetic. Like, I have this big mirror in front of my bed, and so as I'm getting into bed, I'm like, we're all right. It's all good.
I feel the most beautiful when I'm being kissed by the person that I love.
I feel the most beautiful when I'm making a deep connection with someone.
In the morning, it's kind of weird.
When I catch my husband looking at me across the room when I'm with my friends.
I feel the most beautiful when I know that I'm being authentically myself.
I think I feel the most beautiful through the eyes of my loved ones.
When I'm fulfilling the purpose that God's given me.
When I'm sharing a moment of joy with someone else and having that deep, deep laughter.
I feel the most beautiful when someone else is feeling beautiful because of what I'm seeing in them.
My name is Natalie Patterson, and I wrote a poem called Beautiful Body, and I'm going to share it with you now. She said, "You have a beautiful body," and I could not comprehend the words. It was the first time in my entire life I had ever heard these words placed together and directed at me when I'm confused. I take big ideas and break them into smaller pieces, make them tiny enough to fit my world into. You have a beautiful body. You, meaning me. Natalie Patterson, daughter of Joe, Frank, and Lynn, meaning Midwest American black girl with skin and eyes light enough to confuse her own kind, meaning my own kind don't recognize me. You have a beautiful body. Have implies ownership, meaning I, Natalie Patterson, own something I never paid for, meaning some things are free, meaning I didn't earn it, so I don't know the value of it, might abuse or take it for granted. You have a beautiful body. A, meaning one, meaning I, Natalie Patterson, own a single thing, one irreplaceable thing that does indeed die. You have a beautiful body. Beautiful, meaning pleasing or satisfying, meaning I am appealing and desirable. I didn't know that. I've always been pretty with a bud if you only attached, never been just beautiful, stated as fact. You have a beautiful body. Body, meaning physical structure, a place the spirit is held in, and I have never held even my lovers long enough to be good at it. You have a beautiful body. So I will repeat these words until I am no longer reluctant, until they are no longer foreign in my mouth. I will repeat these words. I have a beautiful body. I have a beautiful body. I have a beautiful body. Until ownership becomes a privilege, until this skin becomes a perfect home, weathered and worn over time, a perfect home whose walls I know well, whose staircase and old floors creak. My favorite song, I am my own favorite song that I'm just now learning all the words to, but I want to sing you. I want to sing you till the song sticks. I have a beautiful body, period.
Soul Pancake, subscribe!
Okay, so thoughts, reactions, what did you think about the video? Anything that stood out to you? Personally, I love the poem at the end. I've heard it like 5 times and it still impacts me every time. Anyways, I think, obviously, like I've already said like 3 times, I'm a huge fan of quotes. I like that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that very much ties into a lot of times our tendency to socially compare our bodies or attributes to others. And I like that, keeping yourself in check, that when you don't feel joyful, when you don't feel good enough, notice, are you comparing yourself to someone else? And then also, I think too, that Natalie Patterson also highlighted really well is that we have to practice over and over and over that self-talk. Like she said, she never really realized, she never heard that she had a beautiful body, that she was beautiful. And I think sometimes it also has to come very much from ourselves, that we can't expect others to constantly affirm us, but we also have to really affirm who we are and ourselves as well. So, anyways, just let that kind of meld a little bit. Another quote, Ellen DeGeneres. So to me, beauty is about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about knowing and accepting who you are. And I like that. It's a broad definition of beauty, right? It's not saying beauty is X, Y, and Z. You have to fit this criteria and that equals being beautiful. It's saying you're comfortable, you know, and accept your body. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section. We're going to talk about this. How many people, raise of hands, have heard a friend say this? Man, I just feel fat. Anyone heard that? Okay. I know, me personally, I've heard that many times with women that I've been associated with, and sometimes it's like, gosh, I cannot tell you how many times you are not fat, right? Anyone been in that position? But we're really going to kind of look into this because I think this is a real common phrase that we all hear, ourselves or our peers saying a lot. So, one kind of question to ask along these things too is if you say this or a friend says this, do we find ourselves putting our lives on hold because we feel this way? What do we do with this feeling? What triggers this feeling or this thought that I feel fat? So going into that feeling is, from a young age, we begin to associate things We associate thin with being good, again quotes, and fat or overweight as being bad. And research shows that women or little girls as young as 7 actually begin to make those associations. So think of a 7-year-old, a first grader, already making that association that I have to be thin in order to be good. You can see why that impacts us, starting from a very young age. And then also in line with that too, the messages that we get sent in the media about people and attributes about people who are thin versus those who are deemed overweight. Another research study looked at young kids, and they showed that a lot of young kids already made the association with being overweight as being less happy or less successful in life. Man, what a very slim, narrow view of what it takes to be successful. That if you appear thin, then you're automatically successful, that you're automatically happy. I think just knowing those things, of course we associate when we feel less than as I feel fat, because we've made that association from when we were in elementary school. So one thing, I have this list of feelings over here, because fat really isn't a feeling word, right? So what's underneath that phrase? What might I actually feel when I say, gosh, I just feel so fat today? Some of these things. So if I feel really hopeless, if I feel really less than, if I feel ashamed or lonely, that may associate that self-critical, that feeling of fat with myself. So I want you to, the reason I bring this up is to really challenge you, and even if you challenge someone else that you know of and care about, of saying, when I think I feel fat today, what's really going on for me? What am I truly feeling? Am I feeling anxious about something? Am I nervous about having to interact with somebody? Am I feeling overwhelmed or frustrated? What is that feeling under there? And why have I made that association? Exploring that and challenging that. I also like this picture too. It says, reflections in this mirror may be distorted by socially constructed ideas of beauty. Right? What are kind of reactions about that? Of these underlying emotions underneath that phrase or that thought that I feel fat? Do those kind of resonate with you? Does that kind of, have you felt that before, or kind of associated those things? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to move on from that and talk about, can we be friends? So this is about building a really positive relationship with your body. So I think it starts out with getting this awareness of, how do I feel about my body now? When I say things like, I feel fat, what am I really feeling? How do I need to self-soothe and cope with those feelings? And then how can I be friends with my body again if I don't feel like I have a really good relationship with it? So we're going to kind of focus on some things that you can actively do to kind of build up this relationship, to strengthen this relationship that you have with your body. So one is gratitude, practicing gratitude towards your body. I tell a lot of the students that I meet or the people that I interact with of practicing daily, because practice makes perfect, right? Of thanking your body during the day. So I say, thank your legs for carrying you from leisure to the library. Thank your eyes or your mind for being able to focus on your homework. Thank your lungs for being able to hold in lots of air and calm you when you have to take deep breaths, to provide your brain with oxygen throughout the day. Thank your skin for guarding you against the wind and the rain, maybe if it's raining outside. So that act of gratitude. The other kind of approach that I like, that kind of resonates with me, and maybe it will resonate with you too, is envisioning your body as if it had feelings itself. It may seem kind of strange or a kind of a unique way of looking at it, but if your body had feelings right now and it could talk, what would it say to you about how you've been treating it? Would it be hurt? Would it be frustrated? I want to be satisfied, saying, hey, you take great care of me. I also challenge you too, so if you said the things to your body, the self-talk, maybe criticism as well, if you said those things to a friend, do you think you would still be friends with them? Do you think you would actually still maintain that relationship? So in a way, treating your body as if it was a friend, being kind to it, being accepting of it, and being fair, most of all. So the next one is practicing active attention. And so this is kind of being present in the moment and attending to your body, kind of actively listening to your body. So one thing that I've challenged other women to do is, this is actually you can do either now or you can just kind of listen to it, or I challenge them just to lay their hands on their belly, just their skin on their belly, and just to feel what it looks like, or just feel what it feels like to have your hands on your skin right here. Sometimes it can be very vulnerable in the sense that instantly when I put my hands on my abdomen, self-criticism starts, because maybe this is an area that when I look in the mirror I don't feel good about. And so challenging women to say, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to actively notice my body, feel what it feels like to have my hands just on my skin, and send myself some really positive, affirming messages. Notice what it feels like to sit with that. Thank your body again for the skin that it has to protect everything inside. Focus on deep breathing, and then just notice, am I hungry? Am I full? Am I tense? What's my body telling me right now? I'm listening. You know, like, oh wow, I didn't know my stomach was kind of like grumbling because I hadn't had a snack today, or I ate lunch a little late or early. And really attending to that. What is it telling you? I think sometimes we eat or we move and we're just not present, we're on autopilot. But sometimes if we just sit and say, body, what are you telling me? You're like, wow, I'm hungry, or I have low blood sugar, I did not realize that. So really focusing on that active attention and then feeding your body what it needs, nourishing it. And the last one too is keeping your self-talk in check. Notice kind of what you're saying. Notice kind of what phrases or thoughts kind of keep running through your mind, and challenging those if they're really critical or negative. So the next thing that I kind of want to focus on too is there's a PDF or a handout from, again, the National Eating Disorder Organization, and it's called the No Way, kind of a play on words, a declaration. So I want to hand out a copy to you guys, and we can kind of talk more about it. Okay, so I have a copy up here. What this is it's essentially kind of a contract to yourself. And it's saying that I hereby declare that from this day I will choose to live by the following tenets. And essentially releasing yourself from feeling like you have to live under the rules of a weight-obsessed world. And you have to judge or overly criticize yourself on this narrow kind of definition of beauty. So I kind of want to go through each one of them because I feel like they're very powerful and very essentially empowering as a woman or a man to be able to kind of proclaim that to yourself. So the first one, I will accept my body in its natural shape and size. The way my body truly naturally was created to look and appear. I will celebrate all that my body can do for me each day, and that's part of that act of gratitude as well. I'll celebrate it. I will be grateful for what my body does for me each day. I will treat my body with respect, giving it rest, fuel, exercising moderately, and listening to what it needs. So again, that active listening. I will defy our society's pressure to judge myself and other people on personal characteristics. I will respect people based on qualities of their character and the impact of their accomplishments. So instead of being like, oh, that woman looks really put together, she must be successful, of saying, what has she, I'm going to look at her character, I'm going to look at her accomplishments. I'm not going to just judge her on her appearance. I will refuse to deny my body valuable nutrients by dieting or using weight loss products. I will avoid characterizing my food as either good or bad, using shame or guilt. I will not use food to mask my emotional needs. I will not avoid participating in activities that I enjoy. So I will swim, I will dance, I'll do all these fun things regardless of my body type or size. And I will base my self-esteem and identity on which comes from within. So, you can take this, you can sign this, you can post this somewhere, but I think sometimes actively looking at something and reminding yourself of this is how I want to live my life, this is how I want to view myself, and make decisions and judgments about food, about my weight, about others. I think this can be a really great tool. So again, I want you to take that with you. I have plenty of others if you want to give that to friends, or if you want to offer it to a family member, or you can check out the website, thenationaleatingdisorder.org, and you can find that there as well. Okay. So the last portion, again, is on beauty tips, so at least on positive beauty, positive body image, that is. And for some reason, I was really drawn to this picture of this little giraffe. One, because I think he's so cute and adorable, but I also, one thing that I speak with women a lot about is worth, because I think feeling of worth is really tied to body image. And one kind of metaphor that I use is thinking of a baby. And I actually, I was looking at babies, and then I found baby animals, and so I couldn't deny this giraffe on my slideshow, so I put him on here. But one metaphor that I use is I want you to think about yourself as a baby, which may seem kind of strange too, like, well, I wasn't around, I wasn't able to see myself as a baby, but envision yourself as a baby, maybe from baby pictures. And I want you to, think about when we see a baby, we don't look at that baby and say, gosh, well, you don't have a job, you're worthless. Or you're going to say, you can't, change your own diapers. Gosh, you just really have less value. Right? We look at a baby and say, wow, you're beautiful and you're worthwhile and you are perfect the way you are. And then we grow up, and as the research is showing, by age 7, all of a sudden we associate, well, I'm not good enough because I'm not fitting into this mold for myself. I challenge you, what changes along that line? Something changes where it challenges our worth and our feelings of value about ourselves. And so sometimes when I feel worthless, when I feel down on myself, I challenge myself of, from the minute I was born, I had worth and value, and that shouldn't change. That's not negotiable. My worth and value is not negotiable. And so I want you to think about that. Maybe even think about this little giraffe, how cute and worthwhile he is. He has value from the minute he was born. So on building that positive image, I think part of it is also being a critical consumer, because I think some of what feeds into that feeling of worthlessness or that I'm not valuable is these messages that we get sent as well. So be critical of them. Remember that images are not always a reflection of reality, but something that's constructed, as you can see in this image, of yes, that it is this same woman, but she's been edited over and over again to fit this construct that we believe is equivalent with beauty. Remember, too, that advertisers have an angle, obviously. They spend millions of dollars on strategies to make you feel like something's wrong with you. So they kind of tear you down a little bit, and they say, here, we'll fix you by selling you this. Right? It makes sense for them, but it doesn't make sense always for us. It makes us feel like we have a condition that we have to have fixed. But one element of that is that we can have these kind of filters in place to protect our self-esteem and the beliefs about ourselves, of being able to recognize, like, that's not reality, or maybe I don't want to expose myself over and over and over to these magazines that really are promoting something that I don't really buy into in this weight-obsessed world. So one thing that I hear over and over is willpower, right? We always say we have to have willpower in order to avoid eating too many sweets, or have to have willpower to exercise so much. And it has this very kind of strong connotation sometimes. But in a way, these kind of willpowers are more empowering and focused on having a positive body image. So I'll just kind of focus on a couple, because there's 10 of them, but I want you to kind of read through them, because some other ones might stand out to you. So the second one really stands out for me. It says, I will think of 3 reasons why it's ridiculous for me to believe that thinner people are happier or better, and repeat these to myself as needed. So I can say, I can still be successful in any body type. Or happiness is not tied to genetic endowment or body size. Or being thin will not fix all of my problems. There's 3. The one I really also like to is I'll participate in activities that I enjoy, even if they call attention to my weight and shape. In graduate school, I took a dance class, and I felt so insecure, and I felt so nervous about it. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to let that hold me back. And I think that sometimes, you know, especially as we get into spring and summer, so often what we hear is like, oh my gosh, bathing suit season, right? And we set all these really strict kind of rules for ourselves. I have to fit into this criteria in order to be deserving enough to fit in a swimming suit, right? But saying I can do that regardless of my weight. I will practice taking people seriously for what they say, feel, and do, and not for how slender or put together they appear. I will surround myself with people who make me feel good about myself, and I'll treat my body with respect and kindness. Another kind of technique, too, that you can take with you is at the end of the day, you know, oftentimes when we see the news or we think about our day, we see just negative things. We hear negative things, we send ourselves negative messages. And I challenge people to say only good news. What are only good things about yourself? Because I want to practice that more. It's automatic to think, and it's really easy to think of negative things about yourself, but practice the only good news. One other thing that I challenge a lot of the students that I work with too is to give family members a letter, and then directions say, write down 5 qualities that you most admire about, say, Rachel, that are unrelated to her appearance, and mail this back to her. So sometimes it's hard for us to really come up ourselves with some things, some really positive attributes ourselves that are not tied to our appearance, but others can really reflect back accurately what they admire about us. And it's had a really strong impact on a lot of the people that I've encouraged to do this. So the last thing, of course, I'm plugging our counseling service as well. So if you would like additional resources or focus on kind of more body image issues, you can feel free and contact us. We're on the 2nd floor of the building right next door, or you can call us here. We have online resources. Our website has also free apps that you can download to help with many issues as well. And these are some recommended books. So I'm going to leave this up here if you guys want to write any of these down or reference them, but thank you for coming. I enjoyed speaking with all of you, and if you have any questions, feel free to speak with me afterwards. Thank you.